upcoming, unconfirmed, rumored entry-level Tesla, the Tesla Model 2, the $25,000 Tesla.
They said a true electric car for everyone was impossible. Yet this morning, Tesla quietly placed something new on its website. A model so cheap, so unexpected, it feels like a direct challenge to the entire automotive world. $15,990. That number has already sent ripples through the industry. It isn't a rumor anymore. It's the beginning of Tesla's boldest gamble, the Model 2. But behind the headlines lies a deeper story, one about risk, technology, and a promise Elon Musk swore he'd keep. The announcement that shook Detroit. For years, the idea of a cheap Tesla had become an internet myth, the punchline of every forum argument about electric cars. Then, without fanfare, Tesla confirmed it. An affordable EV had finally appeared on its official website. It wasn't called Model Q or Model C or any of the rumored names. It was simply labeled Affordable Model. And though the name sounded temporary, the price did not. $15,990 for the base version, a figure that would undercut every competitor in the market. Tesla announced that pre-orders would open on November 6th with an initial batch of 10,000 units. The company hinted that buyers would have to meet specific criteria, region, income level, and other factors before being accepted. Once the limit was reached, the portal would close without warning. That sense of scarcity instantly created panic among fans. Forums lit up with countdowns. Dealers in traditional car brands began fielding calls from confused customers who wanted to know whether the price was real. Underneath the excitement was a deeper question. How could Tesla possibly build a car that cheap? For years, the barrier to mass adoption hadn't been public interest, it was price. Electric vehicles promised clean energy and low maintenance, but at $40,000 and up, they remained out of reach for the average family. Affordable EVs existed in name only. Cars like the Chevrolet Bolt and Nissan Leaf helped pioneer the market, but never truly democratized it. Tesla's new figure seemed to rewrite the rules. Industry watchers wondered whether the announcement was another classic Musk maneuver, a headline ahead of the hardware. After all, Tesla's history was littered with delays and audacious claims. But this time, insiders said something felt different. The Model 2 was already in limited production, with prototypes spotted testing in Texas months before the reveal. Even the skeptics had to admit the timing made sense. As battery costs fell and AI-driven manufacturing expanded, Tesla finally had the tools to pull it off. Still, a $15,990 Tesla is not just a product, it's a statement. It says that electric mobility is no longer a luxury for the wealthy or the eco-elite. It is a mass movement. And for an industry that spent a century building around gasoline, that is terrifying. But was this price the result of innovation or of compromise? Could Tesla maintain its standard of quality while cutting costs so drastically? Or was the world about to see the first true collision between mass production and Musk's ambition? The blueprint for a revolution. Tesla's answer to those questions lay in its factory floors. Over the last few years, the company had been quietly building a new manufacturing philosophy known internally as unboxed production. The idea was simple but radical. Instead of assembling cars in a long linear process, different modules would be constructed simultaneously and then joined together at the end, like Lego blocks. The method cut production time by as much as half and reduced factory space by 30%. Add the gigapress machines that mold entire car frames in a single piece of aluminum, and the math began to work. Every part of the Model 2 was a study in economy. Tesla reused technologies from the Model 3 and Model Y, drivetrain, battery architecture, software, compressing years of research into a smaller package. The goal wasn't to invent from scratch, but to refine what already worked. By keeping production in-house and using shared components, Tesla could build each Model 2 for roughly $10,000 in materials and labor. To critics, That sounded like fantasy. But inside Tesla, the numbers were real. The company's engineers had become masters at scaling technology. Their AI-based software optimized every millisecond of robotic movement, turning efficiency into art. And Musk knew that the moment a car could be sold profitably at $16,000, Tesla would no longer be just a car company. It would be a global utility for mobility. Externally, competitors reacted with uneasy admiration. Legacy automakers had the factories, but not the software. New EV startups had the ideas, but not the scale. Tesla alone sat at the intersection of both. By merging vertical integration with AI control, it was rewriting the definition of what a car plant could be. That philosophy extended to design. Musk insisted the Model 2 would not be a toy-like hatchback, but a compact crossover, sleek, minimalist, and undeniably Tesla. It would stand 20% smaller than the Model 3, but retain the signature light bar, aerodynamic silhouette, and smart software interface. Every curve and line was chosen for one reason: reduce resistance and maximize range. Even the interior embodied the company's ethos of simplicity done right. Gone were the luxuries that drive prices up but add little value to daily driving. A 12-inch touchscreen, non-ventilated seats, and durable composite materials replaced the leathers and metals of more expensive models. It was a car built for function, not flash, and that made it revolutionary. But every revolution comes with a price. If Tesla could build this vehicle so cheaply, what corners had to be cut? And could the world's most scrutinized automaker balance affordability with the safety and range buyers demand? Inside the battery wars. To understand Tesla's next move, you have to begin where every electric dream either lives or dies, in the battery. It is not just a component hidden beneath the floor. It is the soul of the car, the source of its range, its speed, and its cost. Every decision Tesla makes flows outward from that core. For years, lithium-ion cells have powered the company's rise, balancing performance and price better than any rival chemistry. But lithium is a fickle partner. Its cost swings with global markets, its extraction scars the earth, and its supply chain stretches thin across continents. That instability has driven engineers to search for something new, and what they found could rewrite the entire story of electric mobility. Deep within Tesla's research labs, experiments began on a material long overlooked by the industry: aluminum. Unlike lithium, it is abundant, inexpensive, and easy to recycle. Yet its potential as a battery base had remained theoretical for decades. That changed when researchers discovered that aluminum ions could carry a triple positive charge. This small atomic difference meant that each ion could store and release more energy than lithium ever could. In controlled laboratory tests, prototype aluminum ion cells achieved energy densities approaching 700 watt-hours per kilogram, almost twice what Tesla's current lithium packs deliver. In plain terms, that could mean a compact car capable of traveling 600 or even 700 miles on a single charge, all while costing less than half the price of today's models. The implications are staggering. Aluminum doesn't just promise higher efficiency, it removes dependence on rare and politically sensitive minerals. It eliminates cobalt entirely and reduces the need for nickel. It opens a path to cheaper, cleaner manufacturing that no longer depends on fragile global trade. For Musk, that is not just engineering progress. It is strategic independence, a way to insulate Tesla from the same supply shocks that paralyze its competitors. Still, he knows better than anyone that there is a canyon between lab performance and mass production. A technology that works in one prototype does not always survive the factory line. The question for Tesla is not whether aluminum-ion batteries function, it is whether they scale. Can they be built consistently, safely, and cheaply enough to meet the demands of millions of cars? For now, the company is playing it safe. The first generation of the Model 2 will use LFP, lithium iron phosphate, packs that Tesla has already mastered in its Chinese and European models. With a capacity of around 53 kilowatt-hours, they deliver a practical range of roughly 250 miles, more than enough for daily life. It is a conservative choice, reliable and affordable, a foundation upon which the next leap can be built. Future variants will likely shift to aluminum-ion once the chemistry matures, allowing Tesla to double range and halve charging times without increasing cost. Those charging times are another frontier in this quiet war. The world's love of road trips has always been the psychological wall electric vehicles struggle to climb. No one wants to plan their freedom around charging stations. Early data suggest that aluminum-ion cells might charge from 0 to 80% in under 10 minutes, a figure that, if achieved in production, would collapse that barrier completely. Even if the reality ends closer to 20 minutes, it would still redefine what it means to own an EV. Refueling would no longer be a chore. It would be a pause, a breath, a coffee break. But technology is never only about numbers, it is about trust. LFP batteries earn that trust through stability. They rarely overheat and are resistant to the chain reactions known as thermal runaway that once haunted early EVs. Every new chemistry must earn the same reputation before the public will accept it. A cheaper battery that risks combustion is not progressing. Tesla's engineers know this all too well. Their testing regimen has become legendary: cells crushed, frozen, and overcharged until they fail in controlled conditions. Each failure teaches them how to prevent the next one. Across the industry, analysts are beginning to notice a familiar pattern in Musk's playbook. He never waits for perfection. He builds, releases, improves, and scales with a relentlessness that unnerves his rivals. The Model 2 follows that rhythm precisely. Launch with proven LFP to secure affordability, transition to aluminum-ion when it's ready, and once again, leave competitors chasing the shadow of Tesla's momentum. The stakes are immense. Battery chemistry determines not only how far a car can go, but how far a company can lead. The first manufacturer to mass-produce high-density aluminum-ion cells will hold the key to the next decade of transportation. Governments, suppliers, and investors understand that whoever wins the battery wars will define the balance of power in the global auto market. So as the Model 2 prepares for launch, the real battle is happening in silence, in the labs, in the factories, in the patents filed quietly in the background. It is a contest of chemistry and endurance, a race to compress centuries of material science into a product that must be safe enough to trust and cheap enough to change the world. And as Musk himself once said, breakthroughs are never about luck. They are about persistence. Each experiment that fails brings the next one closer to success. That persistence has already turned rockets into reusable tools and luxury EVs into household names. Now it aims to make energy itself democratic. But if Tesla's new battery really achieves what the numbers suggest, what happens to every other car maker still building for the old world? Could this be the moment the industry's giants realize that the future they feared has already arrived, and that Tesla's smallest car might be the one that ends the competition for good? The design philosophy of simplicity. Walk around the Model 2 and you see Tesla's quiet confidence expressed through restraint. There are no ornamental grills, no artificial vents pretending to serve a function, no unnecessary curves meant to distract. The surface language is fluid, sculpted as though the wind itself had been the designer. Every angle has purpose. The car's form borrows the spirit of the Model 3, but compresses it into something more approachable and compact. A friendly silhouette that still feels futuristic without being alien. Simplicity here isn't a compromise born from cost-cutting. It's a philosophy rooted in engineering purity, a belief that less can do more. Inside, that minimalism continues with a kind of disciplined elegance. The cabin feels open and uncluttered, like stepping into a calm digital workspace rather than a traditional car interior. A single floating screen replaces the dashboard entirely. Air vents disappear into the trim, directing air quietly through hidden channels. Every essential function lives inside the central interface, reducing physical buttons to the bare minimum. Some critics describe it as sterile, but others see serenity. It's Tesla's way of saying that design should serve the driver, not distract them. That clarity of purpose has practical consequences. By reducing mechanical complexity, Tesla also reduces the chance of failure. Fewer moving parts mean fewer repairs, fewer service visits, and lower costs over time. Manufacturing becomes faster, easier, and more sustainable. Even the materials tell a story of efficiency. Synthetic fabrics replace leather to cut emissions, while recycled composites replace traditional steel for panels that weigh less yet last longer. The result is a vehicle engineered not just to impress in its first year, but to endure for decades with minimal upkeep. The proportions themselves tell you what kind of life this car was designed for. Its shorter wheelbase makes it agile enough to navigate tight urban streets, an advantage in cities where parking spaces feel like prizes. That alone makes it a natural fit for the dense urban centers of Europe and Asia, where mobility needs to be smart, compact, and efficient. Yet the slightly raised stance and crossover profile give it enough versatility for the American driver who still wants practicality and space. It bridges two worlds, the commuter and the traveler, without forcing either to compromise. To many, this simplicity marks the end of car culture's obsession with excess. No oversized displays fighting for attention, no roar of combustion meant to prove identity. Instead, there's a quiet revolution where technology becomes invisible, where the true luxury lies in silence and intelligence. Over-the-air updates, full self-driving capability, and AI integration mean that even Tesla's most affordable model remains alive and evolving. You don't just buy a car, you buy a companion that keeps learning. And yet this digital evolution brings new questions that extend beyond design. If every command, every adjustment, every feature is mediated through Tesla's ecosystem, how much control does the owner really possess? Updates can unlock performance but can also restrict it. Software can add convenience but also dependency. The concept of ownership itself begins to change when the product you bought keeps changing with or without your consent. In this sense, the Model 2 is not just a vehicle, it is a philosophical experiment in modern mobility. It asks whether we are ready to live with machines that think for us, whether autonomy still belongs to the driver or to the code written inside the car's circuits. It challenges us to consider what freedom means when technology becomes both tool and gatekeeper. So as Tesla moves from engineering machines to engineering experiences, are we still buying cars? Or are we subscribing to mobility itself? And when every vehicle becomes a smart device on wheels, who truly owns the road? The human behind the wheel, or the intelligence guiding it? The global impact. The world has been waiting for this moment. Governments from Europe to Asia have built entire climate strategies around electrification. Yet adoption has lagged, mostly because EVs remain too expensive for average consumers. The Model 2 threatens to break that deadlock overnight. In developing nations, where incomes are lower but pollution higher, an affordable Tesla could transform entire economies. Imagine Latin American cities replacing aging fleets with long-range EVs. Imagine Southeast Asia's crowded streets running on quiet motors instead of combustion engines. The ripple effect could reach shipping, logistics, and power infrastructure all at once. Analysts predict that if Tesla maintains even modest production volumes, it could sell over 1 million Model 2 units annually by 2028. That figure alone would rival the combined sales of many legacy automakers' entire EV portfolios. Meanwhile, competitors are scrambling. BYD, the Chinese EV giant, dominates the low-cost segment with models like the Seagull, but its vehicles rely on basic batteries and limited range. European manufacturers are already cutting costs and reconsidering partnerships to keep up. Even Toyota, once resistant to full electrification, has begun accelerating its solid-state battery program in response. Tesla's move also pressures policymakers. Incentives designed to push EV adoption might need rewriting if a $15,000 Tesla becomes reality. What happens when electric cars no longer need subsidies to compete? The political and economic ripple could be enormous. Inside Tesla, employees describe the Model 2 not just as a product, but as a message. It's proof that sustainability and profitability can coexist. It says that the electric age isn't coming, it's here. But in Musk's world, every victory hides the seed of its next challenge. As production scales and expectations rise, can Tesla maintain its reputation for innovation? Or will success turn its boldest dream into just another mass-market brand? The promise and the gamble. Elon Musk has never been one to play it safe. His critics call it recklessness. His followers call it vision. Either way, the Model 2 is his most daring move yet. It's not just another car, it's a test of everything Tesla stands for. If it succeeds, it could accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy faster than any government policy ever could. If it fails, it could expose the limits of Musk's empire. The stakes are enormous, not just financially, but symbolically. The Model 2 embodies the paradox of progress. Luxury technology at a working-class price. It's a statement that innovation means nothing unless everyone can afford it. Tesla has built rockets that land themselves, AI that drives, and factories that think. Now it's trying to do something far harder, make the future accessible. As November 6th approaches, anticipation grows. 10,000 units may sound small, but it represents something far greater. A new chapter in the history of mobility. Across continents, people wait to click that pre-order button, knowing they might be among the first to own the car that changes everything. And yet, behind all the excitement lies a quiet awareness that nothing Musk creates ever comes without chaos. Production targets slip, timelines move, critics swarm. But even they admit that every impossible promise he's made eventually inches toward reality. For Tesla, the Model 2 is not the end of innovation, it's the beginning of its true purpose. To build technology not for the few, but for the many. But can one car truly change the world? Or will it simply reveal how much the world still needs to change first? In the end, the Tesla Model 2 is more than a vehicle. It's a mirror held up to an industry that said affordable EV was a contradiction. At $15,990, it forces the question. What if the electric revolution isn't about luxury, but liberation? If this story left you rethinking the future of cars, subscribe to stay ahead of every breakthrough. Because the next generation of Tesla isn't just being built in factories, it's being built in our expectations.